Okay, well, I wanted to do a short video uh, about an issue that people have been having for quite a while. Since the Yaesu FTDX10 and I don't know about the Yaesu FT710. I know it has a display port on the back, but again, what I'm talking about today is the problem with people wanting to use a HDMI to DVI-D converter to run a output monitor with their FTDX10 to an HDMI device, I guess a TV or a computer monitor that has HDMI on it. Yaesu official. I was looking at a post on Facebook. They stated that they do not recommend that people use a DVI-D to HDMI converter or HDMI on their display port on the FTDX10, saying that it carries voltage. Now, I did look at a diagram online on a HDMI cable, and I'll show it to you in a few minutes. It does show that there's a plus 5 volts on one pin. It says pin 19. Now, why that voltage is on that pin and for what purpose, I don't know. I'd have to research it some more. I know that they're saying that it has an issue with blowing some kind of fuse on the board that's hard to replace, that works with that DVI-D port on the back. But there has been constant, I mean, just if you look at like groups IO or Facebook groups on Yaesu FTDX10, you have constantly this issue comes up where people are saying, can I run a DVI-D converter to HDMI and plug it into a monitor or a TV in order to display my screen on my FTDX10 to my output monitor that has HDMI. Anyway, just a little backstory why I'm doing this is I had my Yaesu FTDX10 connected to an HDMI TV and I had it for quite a while. Never had an issue with it. Didn't know about the debate about these DVI to HDMI converters until I caught one of these Facebook groups and then another Facebook post and a Yaesu post on Yaesu official Facebook and all this stuff and Yaesu groups where this issue kept coming up over and over and over again, and people saying that they connected to HDMI and it blew their output out and they had to send it back to Yaesu, to have it fixed, and then you have that problem. So I don't know what the answer is, and I'm not here to specifically address a answer to this. Just the fact that it just continues to be an issue is something of a dilemma. Basically, because I'm looking on just some backstory about DVI and what. Let me go to this. Hold on a minute. And just to show you. Hold on. There we go. It says that the DVI technology was made or introduced in 1999. That is a quarter of a century old technology on a fairly new piece of ham radio equipment, a hybrid SDR transceiver. Why Yaesu would do something like this, the only reason I could come up with was, and I went over to, and I'll take you there. Let me go up here and type it in. Let's see. And I looked this up. And just bear with me for a moment while I pull this up so you can see it on the screen. So it says HDMI it says HDMI is licensed. They're licensed and they're certified. It is indeed licensed, and it says here, to implement HDMI in any product or component, companies must have become licensed HDMI adopters through HDMI Licensing Administrator Incorporated. These licensed manufacturers gain access to HDMI specifications and can use HDMI trademarks and logos. In other words, if you want to create a device or cables that utilize HDMI, you need to be part of the licensed ecosystem. So there lies maybe the problem why Yaesu is not using HDMI on the FTDX10 is because they don't want to have to jump in there, and I don't know if they purchase the license and it's a one-time deal, or if they have to pay per product, or what it is. I don't know. I mean, there may be. Let's see if there's any more information on that. It says it's not an open standard, and licensing is a crucial step ensuring compatibility and adherence to HDMI specifications. If you're in the business of creating HDMI enabled products, becoming an HDMI adopter is essential. So I was reading that the newest protocols or newest standard for monitors, computer monitors and everything has gone from, since they pretty much don't use DVI technology anymore, and VGA ports are pretty much outdated. They're using DisplayPort options and the HDMI, and they said that these are like continued developing technologies. Difference being between DVI and VGA and DisplayPort and HDMI is VGA. Now this may be just part of it, but anyway, part of the situation. HDMI and DisplayPort plugins they carry audio, they carry USB information or the DisplayPort does on the back of these computers and stuff, and other stuff that goes along with HDMI and DisplayPort. In other words, it does a number of different things that DVI and VGA will not do. Only thing DVI and VGA does is they display, the video output from your monitor, but they don't have any kind of they don't carry other audio information or anything like that. So that's part of the difference between them. But again, this is where we're running into the problem. Why why are we continually seeing this problem with the DisplayPort on the Yaesu? And I looked at this, and this may be the one that I pulled up. Now you can see on pin, let's see, I think that's pin 18 on the HDMI port. It shows a plus 5 volts. Now whether that's the problem, or is there a way to overcome that where you don't have the 5 volts being, and I'm assuming that's 5 volts being fed back the other direction, coming to the device that's displaying the output. It must, I'm thinking it probably runs both directions. It's going and coming, so I don't know. I know the reason why I'm interested in this is because when you're doing live streams and you want to stream the screen on your FTDX10, we use a capture card which will pull your video or your output, your monitor output, and put it in your OBS, which is Open Broadcaster software, and you can display it on your live stream instead of having, I have done this many times and you've seen it on there, using a webcam to show my screen that displays my FTDX10 screen. So, and I went and I hooked this USB, it's basically what it is, and I don't know if I have it right here or not. I can't remember what I've done with it. Hold on a minute, let me see if I can find it. This is the device that I'm talking about, that I was interested, because I was interested in this problem with the display port issue with the FTDX10. And this is a you can see it, I'll hold it up to the camera. It's a HDMI video capture. It has a USB on one end, and then it has an HDMI port on the other. What you would be doing you would be taking the video from your whatever device you're running, hooking it to the HDMI end, and then the USB port would be plugged into your computer, and then it would capture the display on your computer, like in OBS or whatever your streaming software is. And I checked this, I hooked this up to a PC that I have here in the shack, hooked up the HDMI cable up to it, took my multi-tester, set it for the right voltage range, checked it to see if there was actually that 5 volts coming off that pin being fed back through the HDMI port, that would be connected into a, like it wouldn't be what I'm had planned on using is a DVI-D to DVI-D cable, but it also has a HDMI plug built into a little box on the back of it, an output. So I was trying to see if the 5 volts would be fed back through the cable coming back from the computer back to the would it actually feed back voltage back to the Yaesu. And so far, each test I did, I could not find voltage coming across that line. Now, to say, I'll have to look and see what the actual box that's on the end of the DVI, it's kind of a splitter basically is what it is. It has a DVI-D plug above a HDMI plug, and then it connects into the back of whatever your DVI-D device is, and then it would feed that. You could, you still use your DVI cable going to your monitor, but then you have the HDMI cable coming out too, going, and it would be going to this game capture card. So I don't know if that particular device would actually generate 5 volts. I don't think it would, because I don't know if they're, how it would be getting, because it's not powered. There's no power connected to it whatsoever. It just comes off the back of the FTDX10, and then you have two outputs, one to your monitor DVI-D, and then one to your HDMI game capture card. Anyway, that was my reasoning behind exploring this problem that keeps coming up with Yaesu FTDX10, and I'm thinking that it's happening with FT710 users, that this keeps going on. And I'm just, at a loss about why Yaesu does not try to come up with an option that's not 25 years old. And a lot of guys are complaining, saying, or hams are complaining, saying, hey, I can't find, or they're, having to buy a monitor, which they're not expensive. Like I said, a monitor with a DVI-D output or input is not expensive, but having to get one and then use that, and then you're limited to that, makes it kind of hard to do anything else with that. That's limited technology on a radio that's not very old, as far as that has been put out there on the market. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't, finding out whether Yaesu is going to change this sometime in the near future, or whether they'll just do away with it altogether, because it's such a big problem with it when people do this, and then the transceivers getting sent back to have this repaired because people are trying to convert DVI-D over to HDMI, and I'm pretty sure it keeps happening, even though people, the Yaesu is saying don't use it. Other people have tried it, and they've posted it and said, look, it blew my display port out, and I'm not going to do it again. And matter of fact, with the way I did mine, I as soon as I found out about it, I disconnected the HDMI converter, which was not powered. It had no power, but I don't know if anything's being fed back from the monitor through that HDMI cable back to the display port. But I disconnected it all and went straight DVI-D to DVI-D, and said, okay, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not gonna try that again. So I don't know what you say. Well, what's the answer? And I'll just put it out there for everybody. Who has the answer? I don't have the answer, and I'm not recommending anybody hook a DVI-D to HDMI converter up to your Yaesu and possibly blow your port out on your Yaesu transceiver. I'm not going to endorse that. I'm not going to say it, because I wouldn't want to do it to mine. So, what's the answer? Who has it? Yaesu, and I saw this discussion on Facebook. Again, I've gone back to these groups and watched these discussions, and there was a heated discussion between one ham and Yaesu official, where Yaesu, he's telling him, is like, look, explain to me why you're using outdated technology, and you could be using newer technology to go into this radio. And he's talking about, main thing, it was somebody saying, well, can I use a DVI-D to VGA converter and do that? And the issue was that the output from that, going from DVI-D to VGA, was it wasn't any good. It just didn't display the video right, according to this one person. And I'm not saying that's not my experience. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But according to this one person, he had tried it and it didn't work. But Yaesu official was saying, yes, you could do that. So it was a big argument going on between Yaesu official and this one ham about it. it was no good, and they said, yeah, you could do it and all this stuff, and he was trying to get an explanation, and you couldn't get a straight answer from them. So I don't know. Again, I don't know. Um, we don't, what's the answer? And like I said, it's going to be a debate that's probably not going to end for quite some time. It's just going to keep going on and going on and going on. And I know that it'll keep coming up. I mean, a lot of frustration is going on because newer hams are coming out there and they're buying this radio, and they're saying, I want to put this converter on there. Will it hurt my radio? And there's people saying, you see other hams getting on there saying, hey, we've already had this discussion. It's come up a million times. Why are we going back through this again? But, maybe they haven't seen it, or maybe they don't know, or maybe somebody suggested it and they don't know, or what's going on. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring this up, and it came up because of this thing that I'm having with displaying my output for my Yaesu DX10 on OBS, open broadcaster software, because you would have to use a game capture card. That's about the only way I know, or do it like I've done it another way. I'd use with a webcam, which kind of I don't like, but I don't want to blow my radio up. So that's was my issue with it, and why I went into investigating what was going on with this problem. So if anybody's got a better, got an answer, not a better answer, but got an answer, or they've had, what was your experience with it? Have you tried it? Have you not tried it? Do you know? Do you not know? Feel free to put it in the comments. And like I said, I'm a ham radio operator. I have some technical skill, some electronic knowledge. It's not great. I've done a little bit here and there, and I know there's a lot of guys out there, especially electrical engineers, computer guys that know more about this and stuff like that. But I thought I would just throw that out there, as a topic for discussion, and see what you think. Again, this is the Radio Junkie, and I appreciate you guys watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. If you would, continue to please like, subscribe, and share. And again, share your experience on this. What have you experienced? And is this, is it blowing your radio up? Have you had any experience with using any other devices, or how do you display your FTDX10 or your FT710 display on an external monitor, or what is your experience with it? So again, folks, have a great weekend. We're going to do a live stream here in a little while, some shortwave listening again, and we'll try something different. I'm going to try to run my audio through my capture card for my SDR display to the PC, and see if that cleans the audio up any, because I notice it still is not great. And I was fooling around with multi-PSK decoding some CW during that Virginia QSO party, and I noticed it was just blowing the SDR audio out of the water. You couldn't hardly hear it. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I know it is aggravating. It's aggravating to me, and but we continue to do updates and straighten things out, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, have a great weekend, or rest of your weekend, and I'll say 73s is K4MTW, the Radio Junkie, and you have a good one.